Warning: the following program may contain material not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Kill the noise and cut the static. Broadcasting from high in the mountains of West Virginia, we're leaving the 9 to 5 in the rearview mirror. The engine is warm, the lights are green, and it's finally time to shift your Wednesday into overdrive. And now, here's your host, Diego the Podcaster.
On this episode of Bonus Overdrive Wednesday, formed in 2022 right out of Raleigh, North Carolina, they're a band that channels the very spirit of heavy metal's most admired architects. They aren't just playing the music, they are honoring a sacred lineage drawn directly and inspired from legendary titans like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, and Black Sabbath, while weaving in the brilliant complex textures of Savatage, Crimson Glory, and Queensrÿche. Their sound perfectly honors the classic traditions of heavy metal while boldly forging its own path forward. All this plus more. Please welcome our new friend and first-time guest, his Crimson Steel's very own Dave Ryan. Dave, my friend, welcome to Bonus Overdrive Wednesday.
Well, thank you for having me here. I'm very privileged, and I see you have a nice following. So, that congratulations to you on your success in the social world.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, it's so difficult sometimes to get anybody to actually pay attention to what you're doing. But I'll be perfectly honest. You guys got my attention the second I came upon, and I don't even know how this happened. Sometimes I stay up all night and I'm trying to do research to see who can I have this awesome to come on the show.
Right.
And I think it was one of those things where I just kept clicking. I saw the name of the band. It's like, I already love it. I love the logo. I went in there, and then ever since then, it's like I gotta have these guys on because one of your influences, we talked about Crimson Glory, and as I was telling you on the pre-interview, anybody who's a fan of Crimson Glory is a friend of mine. So here we are, man.
Well, we got half the name going for us, so I guess that's a good thing.
Oh no, you're locked in now for life. So we're gonna make this happen, and we're gonna talk some Crimson Steel here in a moment. But every band has a history. Musicians often either are inspired to pick up the guitar or bass or play drums from other musicians, and then they go on and they join many bands, and eventually they land on a band that it's like home to them. So before we begin talking Crimson Steel, what is your history prior to Crimson Steel?
I'm actually originally from Michigan, Detroit area, specifically a city called Dearborn, and I've been in Raleigh, the Raleigh area for about 15 years now. And my kind of musical path started about 16 years old when my parents, I don't know, I think they had a church guitar, acoustic guitar in their house, but I wanted to play drums because drums were cool. And they're like, no, you're playing guitar because we have a guitar in the house. I'm like, all right. So fast forward to maybe about 1978, I think it was, when Van Halen 1 came out. And I was like a lot of people, game over, or game begin, I should say. And, listening to the chops of Eddie just cranking. I tried to do all that stuff on this wide-necked classical guitar and did the best I could. But, then I just my parents realized, he's going to do this for real. So for whatever for real means at 16 years old, and ended up getting my first guitar, which actually it's right there. And you can't really see it, but down the road, I actually had Yngwie Malmsteen sign that guitar when he was about 19 years old. So that was pretty exciting. But I was in just some like homegrown bands in Michigan, just one particular band called Rapid Transit. We were just a progressive, no bass player, no vocal band. We had a keyboardist who did all the bass tracks, the bass lines. We had a drummer who was a maniac, and then me. And then we played parties and you name it, if anybody would have us, but we play like 12 to 15 minute long Emerson, Lake and Palmer, esque, just crazy instrumentals. And that's kind of where my writing interest came into play with progressive music. And not saying that anything wrong with vocals, but the vocals didn't interrupt my writing. My guitar runs were the vocals. My guitar runs were the melodies, and the just nobody kind of missed it at that point, I guess. But as I grew in my career, which is in actually marketing and advertising and video production, I moved to the Raleigh area to head up a creative team at a social media firm. And I started going to some open mics, and people were like really reactive and responding to my playing. So started a couple bands. One band was called Accelerator. These first few bands were all just cover bands. Like Raleigh's very heavy on the cover band scene. 80s classic cover bands from Bon Jovi to the Knack to Foo Fighters, stuff like that. I had another band called Action Heroes, just with some friends. I'm currently in another band called the Cheese Factor, cheese with a Z. And that band gets a lot of shows because it's all stuff that people just want to dance to and rock out. And it's nothing super technical, although I must say a lot of the guitarists from the 80s and even the 70s, they were technical ahead of their time. Certain people like the guy, can't remember his name, but in the Cars, people will kill me for not knowing his name. That guy was great. The romantics and the Knack, man, my Sharona, learn that solo. That's a crazy song, but we play that stuff all the time in town here. And the you mentioned in the intro Black Sabbath. Crimson Steel is kind of influenced by Black Sabbath. I actually met Joel McGee, the bass player in Crimson Steel, when I auditioned for a Ronnie James Dio tribute band called Voodoo in the Raleigh area. And basically, after playing 2 or 3 songs, they're like, "So you in the band?" And at the same kind of time, Joel was kind of rebuilding the Crimson Steel band name because he was kind of reformatting some things. And he said, "Hey, by the way," which after the voodoo practice and orientation, he's like, "You interested in another band too?" And that kind of led down the road to us becoming really good friends and close, and not only just personally, but our vision in writing music is very similar, very similar. His bass skills are off the charts. As a shredding guitarist, I respect a bass player who I just said, let's not just have your name as Joel McGee bass on the album. I said, let's have it Joel McGee solo bass or bass lead bass. I think I wanted to have it because he's never just thumping on 1 or 2 notes longer than a second. And not to say that he's overplaying anything, but you just listen to the album, you'll know what I mean. And that's how I ended up here.
That's a pretty remarkable history. I say that because I'm going to get back to the guitar signed by Malmsteen here in a second. That's a pretty
Mm-hmm.
big deal, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
With you being in bands, hard rock bands, or just regular rock bands that doing cover tunes or something to that effect, do you find yourself holding yourself back a little bit? Like you getting ready to want to shred and you're like, oh, I got to slow this down because it's not this type of show.
It's actually a good question because some people were shocked to see that I'm in a band like the Cheese Factor, because they're like, "That's not you," and but then they come out and see a show and they're like, "I totally get it." It's fun, and it's you still get to exercise your chops as as any musician, drummer, bass, singer. These aren't just slacky songs. They do require talent, and there's a lot of bands doing them, but you can, as a musician, if you go out and you, like every musician does, they stand there, and they shake their head, and they're like the evaluation process is going on. But I always think there's people out there, so I better be playing the song, if not the way it was recorded, I better play it better even. So it's fun, and I don't know if that answered your question.
It definitely did. It was kind of the same way. I talked to you earlier in the pre-interview with wrestling. Well, when you're out there having a match, you'll have wrestlers in the back look too and trying to pick apart your match or see if you're doing the moves right. So I get it. I said I've done zero musical talent. I think the last thing I ever played that I almost mastered was the recorder, and that was back in elementary school. But if you put me
Hmm.
behind a guitar or a drum, I'm all thumbs, man. But we all found what we're good at, and it seems like you have as well. Now we're going to deviate a little bit from Crimson Steel because now you got me on the hook. You got me interested
Hmm.
because I know there's a lot of history behind you with those guitars. Now, does each one of those represent a phase in your life where you were in, or you bought them at separate times? I'm sure, but what? Can you give us like a little quick tour of the back, like the Malmsteen one? You said he signed it when he was
Yeah,
19. Was that
that
when he was in Alcatraz or right before Alcatraz
it was, I believe. Well,
or Steeler, right?
I first heard Ingve. I was going to college in Western Michigan, and I heard this music, and I was like, had to pull over and comprehend it. But it was right. It was Alcatraz. So um, basically, when I heard that Ingve was going to be in the Detroit area playing, there was no question whether I was going. It's like, you know, when is it? How do I get there? All that stuff. So, but then he was visiting some record store locally, and you could go there and get his autograph. And the first thing I thought is, I'm getting my guitar autographed. And he actually picked up the guitar, and he's like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "It's a no-name guitar." And he didn't care. He was just like, never forget. I think he always writes this too. He says, "Play loud." It says it like right about here, "Play loud," and then his scribble. Um, Happened to have the full band with him, which was I think Jolyn Turner at that time, and I think that was his name. And he signed the guitar. That I didn't really care if the other members of the band signed it.
Right.
And actually, to this day, don't tell anybody, but their names aren't not on the guitar anymore. It's just Ingve. It's sorry, but it's an Ingve guitar now. It's not a Strat, but it's kind of like a single cutaway thin Les Paul type guitar, but I don't even play it. I don't even think it's in tune. It's just kind of a fun guitar. And to answer your question about like none of these other guitars really have a history. I, as a lot of guitarists will probably agree that the look of a guitar is probably the first most important thing. Whether it plays good, I guess, is second. I mean, maybe you buy a guitar because your favorite guitarist plays a guitar, and you want to sound like him, because if you got the same guitar, of course you're gonna play just like him, right? Right. So or her. So I just really, I mean, I have a couple guitars. This guitar right here, I actually took apart and spun with a drill and dripped the paint on it, and it ended up being one of the coolest flipping guitars I've ever had. It doesn't play very good. It's an Ibanez, like a cheap Ibanez. Um, I have a friend who's a fine artist in Detroit. She painted this guitar for me. It's just crazy. All these obscure, abstract shapes and faces and stuff on it. I know you can't see it probably that great here, but these two other guitars are Ibanez's. I play the red one with Crimson Steel. It's kind of my B guitar. It's a Prestige Ibanez, and my main guitar with Crimson Steel is actually off to the side somewhere over here. Right there. It's a Court. Actually, it's a black matte Court. And Court, not a lot of people, everybody asks me when I'm playing out, what is that guitar? And I show them, they're like, oh, I swear, I think I've heard of Court. Court's a huge company that makes a lot of name brand guitars. And I was after more of a Solar, kind of that Ola chugging kind of era guitar. But then I came across this Court guitar, and it was a lot less money, and it was beautiful. It was basically a carbon copy of the Solar look. So I just went for that. Um, and that's, I have a couple other guitars, a John Petrucci guitar, JP6, um, a couple others that are in storage, I think. But I'm not one of those guys who has like 50 guitars. I have a bunch of like a smaller collection of guitars, but I only play four of them. I have two main guitars, one for each band, and a backup guitar for each band. That's it.
And with the collection that you have, is there a specific one you use strictly for creating your music or in the studio, and then one for live, or you just could use them all?
Pretty much, I want to use the same guitar uh, all the time. So it's at least it's kind of for me playing it. It's familiar, and I know where I'm at on the guitar versus playing a different guitar that's not familiar to me. I mean, yeah, we're dealing with the same sort of mechanics and space and frets of of most guitars, 24 fret guitars, I must say. And then after that, it's just basically my backup guitar is just as, important, but it's really there just in case, heaven forbid, I broke a string or something like that. And I haven't broke a string in a long time, but we were playing not too long ago, Crimson Steel, and I broke a flipping D string. Who breaks a D string? I don't know. But it was just like all of a sudden I'm playing, and I got Floyd Roses on all my guitars. So, anybody knows with a Floyd Rose, you break a string and you're SOL. So I knew it instantly. I picked up my other guitar, plugged it in, kept going, and people said to me after, like, "Oh, I thought your amp went out or something. I don't even know what happened." I'm like, I thought for sure people were like, "Man, you broke a string. That sucks." Nobody even knew I broke a string. It was just weird. So
It's a good recovery, good rebound there.
little
That's a
little rabbit hole there, but
Oh no, that's fine. A true sign of a professional, man. You never let them see you sweat. That's what they taught us back in the day.
I guess so.
But now,
Hmm.
now fast forward now with Crimson Steel.
Mm-hmm.
And the band is proudly based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. And as we talked earlier, that not since my wrestling days have I been in Carolina, but Carolina was known a lot for wrestling, but low key in itself,
Mm-hmm.
often ignored, I think, if you're not really a fan of the music. Heavy metal is kind of a thing in Carolina. And the more I've been doing this show, the more bands I've been discovering from the Carolinas. And so what is the scene currently in Carolina? How does Crimson Steel fit in?
So if anybody's watched any of our other interviews by Joel or by Tina, you'll know that we'd like to be honest with where we're at, and literally physically where we're at in the country, and narrow it down to North Carolina. North Carolina is coming along with metal, like heavy metal. It's there are some pockets that really embrace it. It's more heavy on the cover band scene. Tribute bands, huge. Um, Cover bands right under that, and then under that is probably original bands. And there's some really great clubs in the Raleigh area and extended out beyond that that really welcome the original music, the hard metal music scene. It's just you go and you play those shows and you hope people show up. And most of the clubs that I'm talking about have good followings. They're really good at marketing, because that, like, if you don't market something, it's not
Mm.
nobody's going to show up. You know that. So it's basically the scene is coming along, and it could be better, but that's one thing that we're trying to do, is just get out there, like I know a lot of other bands that are in similar geographic areas. And heavy metal's always alive, and it's always just steaming along great. It's just where you're expecting to see it is not always the most friendly. Like Crimson Steel, we're not a very old band. We're fairly new, within the last year, solidifying our band makeup, the people in the band. And so, say over the last few months, we've had to travel 5-6 hours out of the Raleigh area, really, to have the best crowds see us. So,
And I think that's pretty common nowadays, especially now with a lot of the festivals that go on, and you'll start seeing a lot of the bands there and drawing pretty good crowds. But I'll be totally honest with you. Before I even read the bio a few months ago, and then later on try to set up the interview, when I listen to music by Crimson Steel, in my opinion, it doesn't sound like a band that's only been together, what is it, 4 years, around 4 years. It sounds like a band's been together for at least 10, 15 years.
No, thank you.
So, what is the secret behind that? Is it the experience you all have in individual bands bringing it forward? Because I'm not really seeing a band that's been in for 4 years.
I think it's a good question. I think it's a number of things. Number one is discipline. I think each person in the band, Tina, singer, Joel, bass, myself, guitar, and Will, drums. Everybody's kind of been there, done that in terms of not professional, but some semi-professional. Been in many bands, and when we focus on doing something, the person's going to show up and perform and come through. And so there's not a lot of sort of like, hey dude, I thought we said we were going to learn this, and you show up for rehearsal and you're empty. There's none of that, and we actually don't rehearse that much, but our shows come along and we're ready. But I think the main reason why we might sound like we've been together for a while is that discipline and the experience from the other bands. But we also have the same common desire to just flip and create some really great metal, uh, traditional metal that's got a bite to it that's actually. And I even wrote down a note here to myself, but I don't know how to say this, but it's not like I come up with a riff and we just repeat it for 4 minutes throughout the song, and then it's over. Now there's some great tunes like that, but like in my heart and emotionally, I like to be things to change up a little bit. And you'll see when you listen to our album, we have some nice breakaways, some nice cutaways, some choruses and bridges and things like that. And I think that keeps us sounding like we've been together for a long time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and now with sounding like you've been together for a while, and we definitely covered that. What does a typical Crimson Steel show look like? Because you're bringing the energy from the albums onto the stage, and I think, how was it on the YouTube? I saw a video, and I think the energy is translating on stage as well. Um, I guess I could have explained that better, but I think you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I know. Um, I think maybe you might be referring to, and we had the absolute fortunate uh, alignment of the stars to be able to warm up Raven, the famous band Raven. Yes, them. These dudes were. If you think you're in shape and performing at in your 30s and 40s and you're starting to slow down, go watch some Raven videos. These dudes are in their 70s, and their guitarist, I think it's John Gallagher, or that might be the bass player. Both of them, anyway. Gallagher brothers. They were sweating more than anybody I've ever sweat. Like they were just moving, and the energy and the skill and the talent was just crazy. And we were fortunate enough to be lined up to warm up Raven at a club where everybody was coming to see them pretty much, and the warm-up band that was with them also, that was touring with them, but we got thrown on the bill to play with them 2 shows, one out of state and one in Raleigh. When I walked up to that to play first, it was elbow room only. There was people like this against the stage, and it was kind of like this quiet energy that was expectation that was going to happen. And we were so ready. My heart was pumping. People are always just eyeballing me like, yeah, yeah. And like, they didn't even know who I was, but that's just the kind of people that this kind of music attracts too. It's like, we're all in it together kind of. And the kind of Crimson Steel show that we bring is like this progressive energy that surprises you. I think one thing that was really amazing about the crowds that we've played recently is because a lot of the crowds don't really know who we are yet, and they're so disruptively, pleasurably surprised by what they hear. And to hear a bass player, we all like calm down the bass players doing a bass solo, and then we come out of something, it's kind of like a melodic slow jazzy thing goes into a metal like crazy guitar solo, and it's not those expected, like I said, those repeated riffs that just go on and on throughout a song, and you're like, okay, I get it. It's just hopefully they're catchy still, but they're something that's keeps you imagining where we might go next. That's hopefully what we deliver in a show, and gain followers, and hopefully people want to hear what's coming from us next after that.
Oh, and they will. They'll start following you on those socials. Performances are kind of, and it's going to sound crazy what I'm saying or terrible. I don't mean to, but it's almost like commercials to come see us again down the road or buy our albums. Because if you don't do well on stage, chances are they might not buy your record, and that's
Right.
unfortunately how things go. I want to go
Yep.
back to something because you mentioned playing a show with Raven, and what was going through the minds of all of you right before you hit the stage? You're thinking, well, we're here with Raven. I mean, who doesn't know Raven? If you're a metal fan, you know Raven. We all grew up listening to them. What were you guys doing right before you hit the stage? What was going on in your mind? At least you could speak for yourself, but what
Yeah,
was
yeah.
going on?
No, we were all kind of like, is this really, like, is this soon happening to us and for us at this point? Where we're a small, group of friends that, see eye to eye on the kind of music we want to make, and we want to entertain people, like I said, and surprise people. But here, the metal meet the rubber meets the road. Here, metal meets the road. I like that too. There's a song. Rubber meets the road here, where you know all your practicing and all your, it's just like there's no time to be nervous. There's no time. It's just excitement and just feeling privileged that this huge crowd that is really here for another reason, as our job is to surprise them and give them. And it was unbelievable. And anybody who's played for more than a couple hundred people on a stage knows that feeling of when that roar of the applause and the screaming hits you. It's like a wave of energy that just hits you, and that's more rewarding than, and that's why we'll drive 6 hours to barely make enough money to pay for gas to get back, and just for that, to feel that energy hit you in the chest and go, that's why we're doing this. And I think we all felt that same thing playing for Raven.
And that's the reward in itself there. Of course, you want to make enough to cover the expenses, but that's the reward right there. Opening up for legends and eventually
Yeah.
becoming legends yourself. But being accepted by a crowd who was expecting to see the headliner and they're like, holy crap, Crimson Steel is the real deal. I didn't mean to rhyme there. I'm terrible at it, but that best I
Nice.
can do. Hey, thanks. So with those long drives, what are y'all doing in these drives? What's on the tape deck?
I actually usually listen to just funny talk shows and stuff. I get kind of tired of, actually, believe it or not, I get tired of music. I just, sometimes I won't listen to anything, or I'll just listen to like really ambient chill music. Just, I need my brain to reset and like be able to pull, like when we're writing, you don't know why you pulled a certain progression or something into your head. It could be from some, believe it or not, some country song you listen to somewhere, or like some classical song, or some ambient chill techno thing. It's like that fit perfectly in a transition to go from here to here in this song, and who cares where it came from. So like driving long distances, it's, who knows. I know that a couple of the other band members, they're so deeply entrenched in metal, and they love, Will Atkins, our phenomenal drummer. He's like the walking encyclopedia of every metal band that ever roamed the earth, of every player that was in every band. And it's just so funny. I know that he's probably doing more homework and listening to more metal stuff, and digesting all that stuff for his mental knowledge bank. But we don't always drive together either. We kind of, because we all live in separate areas, we try to like get together, but a lot of times we end up just driving separate, each person.
Maybe that's not a bad thing either. A little time
Yeah.
apart in every relationship kind of helps you out. But
Space.
yeah, a little bit of space, creative space as well. Now, Now that we're around, well, actually, we're past halfway through the year of 2026. What's Crimson Steel got cooking for the rest of the year?
Well, we're focusing on, believe it or not, we're looking more to 2027 at this point because I know a lot of festivals are already planned and a lot of shows are already booked. We are, because we are new to the scene, and we just released our album, and now we're releasing tracks on it on social and on the web, and introducing people to us midway through a year is kind of late to think that a lot of stuff is still going to happen this year. So we're really more focused realistically on 2027, and we have something in cooking that I can't really mention, but if it does happen, it'll really propel us in a direction that we really would appreciate and deserve, I think, for the type of band we are and what we know we can bring. All I'll say is Europe, but there's some things in the works. And again, back to the Raleigh scene and outside of Raleigh, we all know that Europe is just metal capital of the world. And for a band like us to plan to get there and play there for a festival or two and play some shows while we're there and other venues would be a dream come true and a bucket list check off for a lot of us. So that's kind of our schedule. We do have a couple shows coming up the rest of the year. I know more things will pop up. We're planning a record release party in October. And we have a couple surprise things happening there. I don't know if they're even surprises, but James Rivera from Hellstar is possibly going to be part of that plan. I don't know what I can say here, but as we know, it's no secret that he sang on one of our tracks, "Bleed Into One," a phenomenal love song, believe it or not, on a metal album. It's almost ballady, but it's just got so much emotion in it. And with James and Tina singing this sort of love song, it's really a different track to hear on a metal album, put it that way.
And I think sometimes when you get off that track and do something a little bit different in that album, sometimes those are the songs that really hit. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's like it goes backwards. So start listening to the other tracks too. And then bingo, you got something going there. Now, you mentioned something because of your marketing background. And, I know we're coming up on the clock, but
Mm-hmm.
talking about almost late in the year to you're looking towards 2027. It's more from a marketing perspective and to promote yourself more. But what are some advice you can give to some of the bands out there that are trying to get noticed? And of course, music's one of the more important parts of it, but it's also promotion, marketing, and getting yourself out there to potential fans. So, what are some of the top things you can recommend for someone to do to help promote their their talents, their bands, and their projects?
I think one thing, and this is true with probably any industry, is don't be a dick.
Mm.
Be somebody that you want people to work with. Uh, be be bendable, be flexible, be accepting when things don't come that easy. Like a show might get canceled, or for whatever reason somebody can't rehearse, or you're dealing with people with lives. So if you're a band that's and I'm not the epitome of success by any means, but I'll just say based on experience, you also need to be willing to part with money before you expect to make any money. And uh, my other band has been kind of a slow start, but we've built up our reputation, and that's in turn made us able to make a little bit more money than when we started. I know that the metal scene, again, I know is different, but I would just say, work hard, practice, know when you say you're going to do something and you show up for rehearsal and your band expects you to know your parts. It shouldn't be a practice, it should just be a rehearsal. And I'm just preaching to the choir here, everybody knows that. But it's just be be cool. I mean, there's so many, all the people we've met, and I meant to say this about Raven. Those guys, I mean, they were like the nicest guys you'd ever met, and they just sat down with you. They talked about, hey, what kind of guitar are you playing? Let me see that thing. Like, oh, that's cool. Like you'd think they brushed elbows with Metallica, in the late 70s. Like now they're talking to us like we're equal friends, in the same category. So I guess for advice is just be somebody you want other people to be around, before you're even good at what you do. Just, you could be a stellar musician, but a total idiot, jerk, dick. And it doesn't matter. I'd rather have somebody with me that, you know, love to see walk in the room, lights up the room, energy, and then the talents there also, which obviously helps. But that's my advice. Take it
Very
or
good
leave it.
advice. And sometimes those people who are kind of jerks and dicks, some of them are pretty successful, but feel it took them a little bit longer
Took
until they
them a
fix their
long time.
attitude. Yeah.
Took
And
them a
so,
long time. Burned a lot of bridges, probably made a lot of enemies, but I guess money talks. I mean, if you're something that everybody wants to see, whether they know you personally or not, they're still going to pay to come see you, and you're going to be successful. But until you get there, I would say I'd rather be a person that walks into the room and people are like, "Hey, I wanna hang out with you," versus like, "I don't need your attitude. I don't need your ego.
yeah, we don't need
Let's
that
move on."
energy here, Mr. Debbie
Right.
Downer. So,
Yeah.
so now,
Right.
before we go, one of the most important questions I'm going to ask you, and I'm
Hmm.
not going to put you on the spot. I'm not that kind of guy. For our good friends, the listeners of Bonus Overdrive Wednesday, that want to learn more about you, Crimson Steel, where you're going to be, your merchandise, and your albums, where can they go find out?
Okay, so great question. Let me make sure I'm stating it correctly here. On Facebook, well, let me say it. First, you can just go to thecrimsonsteel.com. So it's just basically Crimson Steel with a C, Crimson Steel. So put the in front of that. Thecrimsonsteel.com is our main website. You can order our CD directly from that website. We have an EPK on that site, so it gives you all the information of all the members of the band. We are not perfect at keeping up our schedule of when we're playing next. But you can also find us on Facebook. Basically, it's let me see, what is it? Facebook.com/Crimson Steel Band. So that's Crimson Steel Band is the trick to getting there, and we're slowly getting on things like TikTok and other other streams, YouTube, things like that. We do have a YouTube channel where we have a lot of short videos, shorts, longer format. We just released a lyric video, so that's on there. I did all those videos too, by the way, but we're actually looking to hire some above normal uh, video people that can actually film the people that normally film, which is me. Nobody ever films me because I'm always behind the camera. But so that's where you can find us. Maybe mainly our website and Facebook.
Excellent. All those links we'll put on the show description. That way, our good friends, the listeners, will be able to click on them, find out more about you, and definitely learn where you're all going to be in 2026 and also 2027, because you mentioned that as well. And now for the coup de grace, as they say. This is one of my favorite parts of the show where I get to play one of your songs.
Sweet.
And I love the track, man. But my insurance company, they might hate you guys because Show No Fear is officially on my playlist of songs to get a traffic ticket to. So take that for what it's worth.
I
It's
understand.
good because I can't drive 55, as they say. So, but this one is going to give me a lot of trouble. So, all joking aside, what does that song "Show No Fear" means to you?
So I would actually, just before we end this, I would say that just have a couple CDs extra to have on your passenger seat. So when you do get pulled over, you can say, "Here, officer, what would you do? Come on." And that's all you know. he would understand, he or she would understand the second they would hear that. But Show No Fear basically is a song about victory, and I think when we were writing the song, we didn't really know what we were going to call it, but when it ended up being what it is, this fast song about literally not showing any fear to whatever comes your way in life, that just kind of seemed like that's what the whole album needed to be called, and we are all pretty in agreement for that. We had some optional choices, but none of the other tracks had as much power and meaning as Show No Fear did. And when you listen to it, hopefully you'll feel the energy.
And it does. The cover for it gives you that warlock feel with Dora Pesh going out there and just killing it, just like
Yeah.
you guys are out there killing it on stage. And I love everything you guys are doing. And good luck with you in 2026 and 2027. And
Thank you for
this
having
is
me.
Oh no, the pleasure's all on this side of the table, brother. This is Crimson Steel with Show No Fear on Bonus Overdrive Wednesday. Dave, my friend, thank you for coming on Bonus Overdrive Wednesday.
Thank you very much. See you all soon on stage somewhere.
I stood where shadows meet the light, where day gives way to the darkest night. Whispers in my head become
All content on this broadcast is a property of Diego the Podcaster and is served directly from our servers with no modification, redirects, or rehosting. All celebrity impersonators are paid performers. The impersonated celebrities do not endorse or promote any views or opinions expressed by our guests, Diego the Podcaster, or Bonus Overdrive Wednesday. The information shared on Bonus Overdrive Wednesday is provided on an as-is basis, with no guarantees of completeness, accuracy, usefulness, or timeliness.